keeps us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. I even waited. Yeah. Put in Take 12 Radio. Take 12 Radio. I took it down. I tried for the cloud thing. Some of you know what I'm talking about. It didn't work. So I'm going to try something else, but it's just too wow in here. It's too wow. All right. We have a friend in trouble. If anybody has an extra mop in Texas, Ingrid needs it. Ingrid needs a mop. So, hi, Ingrid. Thought that'd be a fun way to say hi to you. We're going to talk about Tradition 3 today. And we're going to read out 12 by 12. Okay. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. You don't even need to be an alcoholic to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Probably better that you are. If you are non-alcoholic and you attend AA meetings, there's nothing wrong with that. Just remember that you cannot attend closed meetings, nor can you put money in the basket. Okay. If you are visiting a group or you have a visitor, they are not to put money in the basket. They are not alcoholic, and we are to be self-supporting with our own contributions. Somebody in my home group is very much finding that out. In my home group, every 3 months, we give a big chunk of money to this group that needed to get they need to get their stuff together. They're getting their stuff together. And their needs besides the club in Colorado, we have a central office, we have delegates, so I was like, why don't we ask around and find out where the need is first? And one person just did not like that answer. Wouldn't let it go either. Wouldn't let it go. Something's up. I know something's up. All right. Oh, I didn't do introductions today. I'm probably the only person that would notice that. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Yep. I don't know what else to tell you. I am known to be salty, according to my pastor. Okay. Yes, I do have a pastor. I never thought I would say that, by the way. I'm not a churchgoer, man. I'm not much of a churchgoer. But when I find people that have servants' hearts, I don't care. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care if it's Muslim. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Hey, Michelle. It's good to see you. I hope you're having a great weekend. All right. So let's get started. We're in the 12 by 12 today. And we're going to be starting on page 139. All right. Tradition 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. This tradition is packed with meaning. For AA is really saying to every serious drinker, you are an AA member if you say so. Notice he didn't say alcoholic. There are some people out there that tend to use alcohol a little too much. My first wife was like that. I met my first wife in AA. Okay. She's not an alcoholic. She's not. She was going through some problems. She utilized alcohol, got a DUI, got in trouble, and never did it again. Okay. Was she a serious drinker at the time? Yes, she was. Sure. Did AA help her solve that? Yeah, it did. There's a lot of people out there that utilize AA that are non-alcoholic. Adele's doing it right now. Look how fabulous she looks. She looks great. Okay. She's non-alcoholic. She just figured out that alcohol is doing no good for her. Right. That's why my wife doesn't drink. She's like, first of all, she doesn't really like the effect. Right. All right. You can declare yourself in. Nobody can keep you out. No matter who you are, no matter how low you've gone, no matter how grave your emotional complications, even your crimes, we still can't deny you AA. We don't want to keep you out. We aren't a bit afraid you'll harm us. Never mind how twisted or violent you may be. We just want to be sure you get the same great chance for sobriety that we've had. So you're an AA member the minute you declare yourself. Okay. So AA is not a safe space. Okay. I'd like it to be. It's probably safer than most other spaces because we have rules and stuff. But the thing is we go through a lot of things, right? There's a lot of domestic violence in Alcoholics Anonymous before we get to AA. There's a lot of domestic violence. Some of it may be physical. Most of it is mental and emotional. Mine was emotional. Okay. But if you think that the people around me didn't have the fear that I wouldn't go after them too, then I'd be wrong because, to establish this principle of membership took years of harrowing experience. In our early time, nothing seemed so fragile, so easily breakable as an AA group. Hardly an alcoholic we approached paid any attention. Most of those who did join us were like flickering candles in the windstorm. Time after time, their uncertain flames blew out and couldn't be relighted. Our unspoken constant thought was, which of us may be next? Don't worry, Amber, you're not too late. A member gives a vivid glimpse of those days. At one time, he says, every AA group had membership rules. Everybody was scared witless that something or somebody would capsize the boat and dump us all back into the drink. Our foundation office asked each group to send in its list of protective regulations. The list was a mile long. If all those rules had been in effect everywhere, nobody could have possibly joined AA at all. So great was the sum of our anxiety and our fear. Okay. In the early days, we were a very fragile group. And it could have been easily broken. We were a secret society in the beginning. And it kind of had to be that. It had to start that way. Because we needed proof in the pudding, man, or these people they won't believe us. Okay. So I recently, signed up and this is the information that they sent me. They sent me this. Got a bunch. I haven't even had a chance to open it yet. This is the GSR kit. Okay. So that's for my GSR when we had one. And I'm just kind of showing it. And then they also sent me this. Look at all this. This is all stuff that I need to take a look at, okay, and support that I have for the group. All right. I'm going to be bringing it to the meeting. All right. So now we get all this information to help us out with it. Okay. And I was supposed to get signage and stuff too, but there's a note in there that says they're way behind. We were resolved to admit nobody to AA but that hypothetical class of people we termed pure alcoholics. Except for the guzzling and unfortunate results thereof, there could have been no complications. So, beggars, tramps, silent inmates, prisoners, queers, plain crackpots, and fallen women were definitely out. Yes, sir, we cater only to the pure, respectable alcoholics. Any others would surely destroy us. Besides, if we took in those odd ones, what would decent people say about us? We built a fine mesh fence around AA. Okay, I'm one of those odd ones. I'm a crackpot. I'm an asylum inmate. I've been a prisoner. I'm queer. Okay, not in the sense that we call queer now. Okay, but in the sense that it's odd that I was different. Okay, and I'm glad that they came to the conclusion that there's no such thing as a functioning alcoholic. Heard it again today too from a newcomer. Yeah, I'm kind of a functioning alcoholic, but I'm new. Then where the fuck did you get that verbiage? See, I don't buy it. I won't buy it. I'll know. I know when somebody's lying. Okay, you know what happens? My tummy hurts. Even when somebody else lies. It's weird. Maybe this sounds comical now. I don't think it does. Maybe you think the old timers were pretty intolerant, but I can tell you there was nothing funny about the situation then. We were grim because we felt our lives and homes were threatened. And that was no laughing matter. Intolerant, you say? Well, we were frightened. Naturally, we began to act like most everybody else does when they're afraid. After all, isn't fear the true basis of intolerance? Yes, we were intolerant. This is what's great about the 12 by 12. They're admitting all their mistakes that they made. They're admitting all the mistakes that they made. Now, I can go to a meeting and go to a group conscious, and I will know whether you know your traditions or not. Oh, we got to be more protective of the group. No, we don't. I know that's tough. I don't agree with everything either. I don't. But the rule is the rule, man. The rule is the rule. So what do? Well, I show up and I do what I can, you know. Nobody needs to feel like they're being hit on while they're trying to get well. Fuck that. And don't do it in front of me. Because I know you guys won't. Well, just like you, I would say something, especially if you're my friend. If you're my friend and you're fucking around, I'm going to tell you. You bet. Because I know better. Just like you know I'd rather be happy than miserable. You know that about me by now. Right? So yeah, intolerant. You bet. We can still be intolerant today. Well, they didn't say it the way I wanted to say it, and the way these new people talk, and it's just their verbiage, man. It's just their verbiage. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We can still all agree on something. How could we then guess all those fears were to prove groundless? How could we know that thousands of these sometimes frightening people were to make astonishing recoveries and become our greatest workers and intimate friends? Was it credible that AA was to have a divorce rate far lower than average? We do. Could we then foresee that the troublesome people who were to become our principal teachers of patience and tolerance? Could anything then imagine a society which would include every conceivable kind of character and cut across every barrier of race, creed, politics, and language with ease? That is the neat thing about this. You're all credible. Your bottom's your bottom. That's it. There is no rock bottom. It doesn't exist. There's just one trap door after another. Okay? So when you have decided you have had enough, I agree with you. And I don't care the reason. You know what? I got drunk and stubbed my toe. Great. Great. If that's what it took to get you sober, I'm on it. I'll be freaking serious about it too. Why did we dare say, contrary to the experience of society and government everywhere, that we could neither punish nor deprive any AA membership that we must never compel anyone to pay anything, believe anything, or conform to anything. You don't have to conform to shit unless you want change, right? Yeah, fuck money. I agree with you. The answer now seen in tradition 3 was simplicity itself. At last, experience taught us that to take away an alcoholic's full chance was sometimes to pronounce his death sentence, and often judge to condemn him in his endless misery. Who dared be judge, jury, and executioner of his own sick brother? Who's going to do that? Are you? Because whenever we say somebody doesn't belong, that's what we're doing. We alcoholics have spent our whole life trying to fit fucking in. And finally we do. So when it gets disrupted, yeah, we get a little protective. We get intolerant because we feel we must protect it. We don't need to do that. Why? Because you can't do anything to AA. You can't. It has no outside opinion. Nobody speaks for AA. Therefore, there's nothing you can do. AA is a way of life, and that is it. Okay? Are we going to brainwash you? You bet your ass we are. My brain needed washing. It needed it. It needed a good scrub. Need to get in the corners, up the right? Not only that, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been in this program for a while, and the people that are odd ducks, the people that have things that are beyond and stick around in the program, those are the people. Those are the people. You know the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and it's not any different in AA. Okay? Do you know how much service work I do? Strike that. That sounded like bragging. Fuck that. I do a lot. Who cares? All right. Well, the people I help care, but beyond that, then no. As group after group saw these possibilities, they finally abandoned all membership regulations. One dramatic experience after another clinched this determination until it became our universal tradition. Here are two examples. On the AA calendar, it was year 2. And that time, nothing could be seen but 2 struggling, nameless groups of alcoholics trying to hold their faces up to the light. A newcomer appeared at one of these groups, knocked on the door, and asked to be let in. He talked frankly with the group's oldest member. He soon proved that he was a desperate case and that above all, he wanted to get well. See, back then, if you wanted to be a member of AA, you had to talk to somebody first, a sponsor, and that person would let you in. And that person was called a sponsor. He soon proved, but he asked, will you let me join your group? Since I am the victim of another addiction, even worse stigmatized than alcoholism, you may not want me among you, or will you? A lot of us alcoholics come with other things. It's part of life. Many of us also have other addictions. Money, sex, okay? Those are the 2 things alcoholics tend to clamor for when they get sober. Why? Because they're trying to fill that big freaking hole in their stomach, man. And since we don't have alcohol anymore, where does our brain go? Well, if other people find me attractive and things like that, or if I have money, then people will love me because of it. And no, in AA, that's not going to work. There was a dilemma. What should the group do? The oldest member summoned 2 others and in confidence laid the explosive facts in their laps. Not very good at anonymity there. Well, what about it? If we turn this man away, he'll soon die. If we allow him in, only God knows what trouble he'll brew. What shall be the answer, yes or no? At first, the elders could only look at the objections. We deal, they said, with alcoholics only. We shouldn't sacrifice Shouldn't we sacrifice this one for the sake of the many? So with the discussion, while the newcomer's fate hung in the balance, then one of the three spoke up in a very different voice, and thank God. And thank God somebody did. What are we really afraid of, he said. Is it our reputation? We are much more afraid of what people might say than the trouble this strange alcoholic might bring. As we've been talking, 5 short words have been running through my mind. Something keeps repeating to me. What would the master do? Not another word was said. What more indeed could be said? What else could be said? Michelle says, I was told to listen to different people and ask someone I felt was rooted in AA to be my sponsor. No. Overjoyed, the newcomer plunged into the 12-step work tirelessly. He laid AA's message before scores of people. Since this was a very early group, these scores have since multiplied into thousands. Never did he trouble anyone with his other difficulty. AA had taken its first step in the formation of Tradition 3. All right. 20 minutes, nothing for me. Let's go ahead. We got 2.5 pages. Not long after the man with double stigma knocked for admission, AA's other group received into its membership a salesman we shall call Ed. A power driver, this one, and brash as any salesman could possibly be, he had at least an idea a minute on how to improve AA. I love these ones. I love these ones. What about this? What about that? What about this? I'm one of them. I was one of them when I first got here. And then somebody pulled me aside and had a little talk with me. He had these ideas he sold to fellow members with the same burning enthusiasm which he distributed automobile polish. But he had one idea that wasn't so sellable. Ed was an atheist. His pet obsession was that AA could get along better without its God nonsense. He browbeat everybody, and everybody expected that he'd soon get drunk. For the time you see, AA was on the pious side. There must be a heavy penalty, it was thought, for blasphemy. Distressingly enough, Ed proceeded to stay sober. I love this story. I've watched this too. There's nothing cooler than watching an atheist come back one day and say, hey, God's awesome. All right. At length, the time came for him to speak in a meeting. We shivered, for we knew what was coming. He paid a fine tribute to the fellowship. He told how his family had been reunited. He extolled the virtue of honesty. He recalled the joys of the 12-step work, and then he lowered the boom. Cried Ed, I can't stand this God stuff. It's a lot of malarkey for weak folks. This group doesn't need it. I won't have it. To hell with it. A great wave of outrage. Resentment engulfed the meeting, sweeping every man to a single resolve. Out he goes. The elders led Ed aside. They said firmly, you can't talk like this around here. You'll have to quit or get out. With great sarcasm, Ed came back to them. Now do tell, is that so? He reached over to a bookshelf and took up the sheaf of papers. On top of them, lay the foreword. Lay the foreword to the book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Then under preparation, he read aloud, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. Relentlessly, Ed went on. When you guys wrote that sentence, did you mean it or didn't you? Dismayed, the elders looked at one another, for they knew he had them called, so Ed stayed. Ed not only stayed, he stayed sober month after month. The longer he kept dry, the louder he talked against God. The group was in anguish so deep that all fraternal charity had vanished. When, oh when, groaned the members to one another, will that guy get drunk? I don't think of that to anybody. That's dangerous. That's dangerous ground to tread on. Quite later, Ed got a sales job, which took him out of town. At the end of a few days, the news came in. He'd sent a telegram for money, and everybody knew what that meant. Then he got on the phone. In those days, we'd go anywhere on a 12-step job, no matter how unpromising. But this time, nobody stirred. Leave him alone. Let him try it himself for once. Maybe he'll learn a lesson. About 2 weeks later, Ed stole by night into the AA's member house. Unknown to the family, he went to bed. Daylight found the master of the house and another friend drinking their morning coffee. A noise was heard on the stairs. To their consternation, Ed appeared. A quizzical smile on his lips, he said, "Have you fellows had your morning meditation?" They quickly sensed that he was quite in earnest. In fragments, his story came out. In a neighboring state, Ed had holed up in a cheap hotel after all his pleas for help had been rebuffed. These words rang in his fevered mind. "They have deserted me. I have been deserted by my own kind. This is the end. Nothing is left." As he tossed on his bed, his hand brushed the bureau nearby, touching a book. Opening, he read it. It was the Gideon Bible. Ed never confided any more what he saw and felt in that hotel room. It was year 1938. He hasn't had a drink since. Nowadays, when old-timers who know Ed's foregather, they exclaim, "What if we had actually succeeded in throwing Ed out for blasphemy? What would have happened to him and all the others he later helped?" So, the hand of Providence early gave us a sign that any alcoholic is a member of our society when they say so. And that's it, right? Now, I don't necessarily agree what they did to Ed, right? I kind of feel bad for the guy. I know what it's like to be, but at the same time, did he need to, maybe he needed to learn that lesson. He needed to find God and everything. Sometimes our life needs to be totally gone so that it's just God and I, and that's when it happens. No, you don't need to go that far if you don't want to. You don't need to do the yets. I heard a young man talking earlier, and he's like, "I'm 45. I have my wife. I have my," and and this was after the meeting, so there were, there's crosstalk, and everybody is that you can hear people going, "Yet, yet, yet," and then Kayleen, bless her heart, she spoke up, and I'm so glad she did, because she's newer, can reach these people a little bit better, and she explained to him what he was saying, and he caught it, and it was just neat. It was really neat to watch, right? And to see somebody that I've known for several months now turn her own life around, and because I remember her saying kind of the same thing. And so it was neat to watch it in reverse. It's neat to go to meetings and hear what I say come out of other people's mouths, right? There's some things that I use it. So cool stuff. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a good rest of your Saturday. I don't know why I'm delaying getting off, but I am. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you. Peace out. And have a day.